Hey, I was lucky enough to spend a couple days last week in Sweden for a friend's wedding. My first reaction was, of course, to run around finding flaws in the socialist wonderland. Did you know that people still smoke in Sweden? They also have fat people. I was disappointed to find that Sweden also has some super ugly buildings. So much for Scandinavian design. But even this red-blooded capitalist had to admit, there's a lot about Sweden that's attractive. The fat people aren't that fat. Everything is clean. Maybe it's just the amazing wedding I was at, but Sweden seems to be full of talented people pursuing their passions without worrying too much about money. At the end of a long day in Stockholm, I noticed a homeless person. I generally don't do that. I noticed her because she was the first homeless person I had seen in an entire day of walking around Sweden's biggest city. It seems to me that Sweden does away with the idea of the zero-sum game. US politicians love the idea that there's only so much wealth to go around, and that people are trying to steal it from you. For the Democrats, it's the rich, and for the Republicans, it's the immigrants who are coming for your jobs. Sweden shows that when people band together to work towards the common welfare, anything is possible. This world is not a zero-sum game, and you can build a lot from a limited base. Sweden also shows that you can do that with plenty of rich people, and a better immigration policy than most European countries. Sweden isn't perfect. People suffer there too, but they have solved problems in ways that are worth studying. This does not mean that the United States can become Sweden. People will tell you that it's just a simple matter of the right legislation or attitude. It's really not. To start with, Sweden is a country of 9.5 million people, not almost 320 million. The Swedish population is also very peculiar. Sweden was the first country anywhere to achieve literacy rates of above 90%. In the 1680s, an authoritarian Christian king, Karl XI, declared that in order to get married, a Swede had to be able to read the official religious materials. Literacy is notoriously hard to define, but by the mid-1700s, over 90% of the Swedish people could read the national language at some level. The United States reached that level in 1900 at the earliest, and by some measures we may not even be there today. The roots of the Swedish model don't go back a few decades, they go back through centuries of consensus-based development. This doesn't mean that we can't try to apply some lessons from Sweden, though. What would the first step be? Is Sweden's remarkable social model run by a centralized national government? Not at all. The Swedes accept high levels of taxation because that money is almost immediately transferred back to a system of 21 county administrative boards and 290 municipalities. Sweden's social model is run locally. The administrators who matter are people who know their communities and can be contacted directly. This couldn't be more different from the 20th century US model, where the federal government collects most of the taxes and only transfers some of that money back to the individual states if they do as they are told. So if we really want to be more like Sweden, the first step would be a massive transfer of power and money from the federal government in Washington, D.C., back to the states and municipalities that provide that money. Once that happens, then maybe we can start talking about more taxes. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.